Well, the other shoe is finally dropped, and that's right. Aaron Glenn is now going to be the head coach for the New York Jets. Congratulations, Aaron Glenn. This one feels a little bit different for me, primarily because Aaron Glenn has been fighting this upward battle ever since he became the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions in 2021. He had like zero staff, or not staff, he had zero personnel. I mean, it was really hard with the players that he had on that team. I mean, amazing athletes, yes, of course, but we just didn't have that top-tier talent for Aaron Glenn to really do anything with. And even in 2022, I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, Alex Anzalone, I mean, these guys were like the cream of the crop, on our team. We just didn't have a lot of players for him to do a whole lot with. We definitely didn't have the DBs. And Kirby Joseph was, an afterthought. Like, he was still developing. And Ifeatu Melifonwu, when he came, to Detroit, it took him a while to finally put things together. And now in this last season where you felt like Aaron Glenn finally had an opportunity to do something, and he proved it. And he proved it big time. He came into the season with a very good roster. I mean, very good roster. Deep roster, which we learned more of, as the season waned. And I'll never forget, I mean, Eric and I have talked about this a few times, that when I was at training camp for the first day that was open, I knew that was the best defense I had witnessed yet in my time in Detroit. Or my time being a fan of the Detroit Lions. I have never witnessed a defensive line that was that good. And yes, that's even better than 2014. The defense was just all over the place. Aaron Glenn had this team cooking. And I do believe that Williams had a big hand in that too. But then as the players started to drop one after another, you saw that he was able to coach this team a little bit differently. And he was able to get things out of these guys that maybe he wasn't able to get out of them before, because he had the right players. He had the right depth. And he did absolutely everything that he could this season. I get real sick of the loose cannons out there that just blame Aaron Glenn for everything, or they blame Brad Holmes for everything. And if Aaron Glenn was not a great coach, if he was not great at what he does, the Jets would not be hiring him right now. 6 teams would not be interviewing him. He would not be on the list. It's that simple. If everybody else in the league thought he was that bad, why would they want him as a head coach? They wouldn't. The truth is, Aaron Glenn's been getting interviewed since 2022. Even after the seasons that we had terrible defense rankings. But they could see what he was doing with less was working. And even this season, it's not that you can blame Brad Holmes for anything that happened this year. And of course, I'll do a video on it, and I'll throw all the numbers together. But, even if you had a Max Crosby and a Myles Garrett and Aiden Hutchinson all on the same team, well, that's it. That's all you're going to have. You wouldn't have anybody else. And if those guys got injured, guess what? You don't have anybody else. You don't have the depth. Aaron Glenn didn't have any more depth that they could possibly get. I mean, they had it all, and they all got hurt. This season is not lost because Brad Holmes didn't hire right. This season's not lost because Aaron Glenn didn't coach right. This season is lost because we had 21 players on IR quickly. That's why this season was lost. It wasn't for any other reason than that. And then maybe some questionable things that happened on Saturday night. But this is more about Aaron Glenn. The Jets obviously stole Aaron Glenn. Let's talk about it. Let me bring in this article here. Talking about Aaron Glenn here from The Athletic. Jets hiring Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator, as their head coach, per sources. The Jets stole Aaron Glenn from the Saints again. It happened in 1994 when Glenn was was a highly rated cornerback prospect in the NFL draft. And it happened again on Wednesday. According to team sources, New York is hiring Glenn, most recently the Detroit Lions defensive coordinator, as their next head coach, a week ahead of his scheduled in-person interview with New Orleans Saints. So they got him again. I think it's hilarious. But you know what? I think it's a good fit for Aaron Glenn. And as you can tell, it's like I'm not upset about this one because he got out of the division. And I think that he did right by Dan Campbell by doing that. And, unfortunately, Ben didn't. And I feel like Ben's just grimy now. I mean, I've always appreciated what Ben did, but now when I look at him and I look at his squirrely face, I just think he's grimy. I do. But anyway, the Jets are landing. Obviously, Aaron Glenn, they felt that he was their top target since they began this very wide search. I don't like this, that they throw this in here, that maybe he was second fiddle to Mike Vrabel. I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit. I think that Glenn is a hell of a candidate. I think he's a hell of a leader. We know that he's a motivator, and I think he's going to do great. My bad. He's going to do great in New York. Now, he's got a pretty rough start to this campaign. You know, I haven't stayed up on what's gone on with the Jets over the last couple of weeks, but we know the grandkids. That's all I'm going to say. Woody's grandkids, apparently, you know, they have their hands all mixed up into the business of the Jets. And that's just one thing that I hope Aaron Glenn can not allow to happen. If he has any power or say at all, is get those kids out of the locker room, man. Like, there's a time and a place. You want a football team? Let's have a football team. You know, let's have great minds together that can build this thing. And Aaron Glenn can do it. He's just got to be given the right pieces. He's got to work cooperatively with, you know, the GM that they're going to bring in. And I think it'll work fine. I bet you the Jets will be back soon. I don't think it's going to work with Aaron Rodgers there, but give him a couple of seasons. Jets will probably be back. There ain't nothing wrong with that. I wish Glenn nothing but the best, man. He's a hell of a dude. He really is. I've always been in his corner trying to back him up since day one because I could just see with the roster that we had, he just didn't have it, man. He didn't have it. And the year that we do, they all get hurt. That's tough, man. It's a tough pill to swallow because this was a year that we all know that we should have gone the full distance and at least made it to the Super Bowl. We had the offense to win it, but we did not have enough defensive resources. And hopefully Aaron Glenn will be able to get the resources that he needs in New York to make it happen. Obviously, talent-wise right now, the Jets are probably a little bit closer to getting back to the playoffs in 2025 than the Lions were when Glenn was first in, Detroit as a defensive coordinator. I mean, I don't think that's a secret, right? Let me get this chat popped out. I don't think that's a secret at all. I think the Jets are a lot closer. He's got some really good pieces. He's got a really good corner in Sauce Gardner to even start with. Big shout out to Richard Morris, $1.99 super chat. Says Wink Martindale for the Lions' next defensive coordinator. I know it's an option. I know you're asking the question, but honestly, Richard, I've not considered anybody today yet. I wanted to see this happen, and then I'll put together some pieces probably later on today for tonight. We'll talk about it tonight. I think it's a good option. I mean, I think there's a lot of options, to be honest with you. I've even considered some college options, but I just don't know that Brad and Dan are going to do that unless they've played NFL level football. I think that they're going to stick with this mantra of former NFL players. And I think that's just the way that they want to run their team because, as you can tell, the players really respect the coaches that have done it. That have been in their shoes, that can communicate to them on the same level. And I think that's part of that whole identity, if you will, and the culture that they built is we've got guys on this roster and on the field and guys that are on the sideline that have been in the same war that you're in right now. They've been in week 13 when you just have nothing left and your body's beat to shit and you just need to go in there and keep on playing. They've been there, done that. And I think that it relates to them at a much higher level. Let's see here. Whether it was the Commanders or later, there's no way to win or even make a Super Bowl. The reality is that it was written in the cards from 3 chosen 1. I'm not following you, buddy. What are we talking about? Why couldn't we win? Is it because of the defense? I might have missed one. I might have missed a message or something. But what else do we have in here? Gary, welcome in. Josh Jackson at least will get 2/3 compensatory picks. That's right. That's one thing I didn't mention yet. So we will get a 3rd round compensatory pick, which will be the same level of pick as far as wherever we're picking at 28. So if there's other teams that are in front of us, they got compensatory picks, it'll follow the same order. So at the end of the 3rd round, we will be the 4th from the last team to pick our compensatory pick for head coaches that have moved on, given the fact that the minority Rooney Rule effect has taken place. So we will have a 3rd round compensatory pick this year and next year. The question was asked to me just a little bit ago about Terrell Williams. There is no compensatory pick for Terrell Williams, and that is because he is moving on to be a defensive coordinator and not a head coach. If he was moving on to be a head coach or a GM, then yeah, we would have got another one. But it's not happened. The only other way that we're going to get a compensatory pick is which is not going to happen because all the head coaching jobs they're pretty much in line for who's going to get them. But, let's say Calvin Shepard went, to be a head coach of a team, we would get another one. Or if Ray Agnew left our executive office and went to another team to be the GM, we would get one. But beyond that, I think that we're pretty much at where we're at right now. We're getting an extra pick for the next 2 seasons, and I think that helps us big time too. I think that really fits into Brad Holmes' model of where he loves to pick, and you can trade those picks now, so that does help us. Now, the one name that has been flying around is Robert Saleh, and again, we'll talk about that tonight. I'm going to be back on tonight for a live stream discussing a little bit of everything, but I've got a topic that I want to discuss. We'll chat about it, but Robert Saleh. So let me ask you this. Would you consider Robert Saleh to be a sellout because he went and hung out with the Packers, this last season, and then let's say he comes to the Lions and becomes our defensive coordinator? Would you consider that the same type of scenario for Ben Johnson, being our offensive coordinator, then going on to the Bears? My quick answer is no, I wouldn't. But I don't know if Robert Saleh, I don't know if he fits. I don't know if he fits what we do. I really don't. I don't know if he fits. At one point, he was supposed to be a candidate for a head coaching position in Detroit. Matter of fact, I don't even remember if he ever got interviewed. I don't think he did. I don't think he was interviewed. I don't know. I just don't see, I don't see him as a fit yet. I just don't. Someone's going to have to sell me on him. Yeah, too many injuries, Thomas. Too many injuries to make it to the Super Bowl. I 1,000% agree with that. There's a lot that we could talk about that happened in that game. I mean, it's no different to the NFC Championship game. It was a complete implosion. The difference was we played great football the first half of the NFC Championship, and we had the runs the entire game on Saturday night, it seems like. We got some scores here or there. Yep, we put up a lot of yards, put up some points, but it didn't seem like we had any control at all. Zero control. William says, congratulations to Coach AG. Hey, I feel the same way. I think it's a big congratulations to AG. He deserves it. He's been working his ass off. And he showed us this season that, for all the people that doubted him and doubted his ability, that they were wrong. They were 100% wrong. And the same people that are consistently wrong because maybe they don't understand football or how things work. But Aaron Glenn had his back up against the wall since day one. And he fought and scrapped and did everything that he could to get his guys in the right position to win. And this year, I think that he pulled so much out of this group. I mean, he had guys coming off the street getting sacks. He had guys coming off the street getting pressures and being a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. Now, some of those guys didn't maintain, but he did some wonderful things for us this year. And it won't be forgot. So big congratulations to Aaron Glenn. So what's up next is the question, right? Who are we going to be bringing in? We haven't heard anything. At least I haven't yet today. I haven't spent a lot of time reading or looking for information. Been dealing with the internet. I think so far we've had a pretty decent stream. I don't think any of the frames have fallen off yet. which is good news. Who's up next, man? Who are we going to get in? Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Does it make sense for the Lions to bring in an outside source, or does it make even less sense for the Lions to hire from within at both positions? And I'll tell you tonight how I feel. But bring your questions tonight. Bring your ideas, people that you want to see, in the Honolulu Blue on that sideline coaching up this team, because this is the next cast of characters that is going to have to take us to the Super Bowl. This is it. With the roster that we have right now. Remember, Amon-Ra St. Brown was brought in 2021. He was just re-signed, and our coaches were re-signed, extended. I think just about everybody is through 2028, if memory serves me correct, 27 or 28. And that is the window. The window is from now till then, and that's it. Because after that, depending on who we are able to bring in, it could be really tough to build a roster like we have right now. The windows don't stay open for long. And what I don't want to see happen is I don't want to see us to be like a 49ers team that seems to make it to the playoffs year after year, and they just can't get over the edge. And then this year they're, obviously with the injury to McCaffrey was huge, but that team just fell apart. I don't want to see that happen to the Lions again. I don't want to see us going back into SOL. I don't want to see those fans, popping out from, all the potholes around Michigan. They're always poking their head up. I mean, there's one individual that I know is just always SOL. He just hides behind the fact that he tries to act like he's not, but he is. And you guys all know who that individual is. He always talks crap about our team. Always. Says he's a fan. Always talking crap about our team. Doesn't make sense. I'll be critical, right? I mean, I see what I see. I'll be critical, but I try to do it from a place of good, solid, factual opinions, based on facts and research and stats and analytics. And then we go to the other side of it. We talk it out. So let's see here. 3 Chosen One says Saleh isn't a good choice for stability. That guy is a 1-year hire if Detroit's D performs next year. That's a great point. It's kind of hard, right? It's kind of hard to bring in really good coaches, or at least perception is they're a really good coach. Because to your point right there, they're going to be gone. They're going to be gone in a year, and then you got to start all over again. So it's almost good to have a few guys that are kind of just really good but not known, waiting in the wings. You're bringing them up, through your ranks of your own team, and at some point they make it onto another team. It's just the way it's got to happen. The Lions need to move to promote new coordinators. So, Roger, you think both guys from inside is a good choice? Josh Jackson says all about outside sources. He likes Doug Peterson as an OC and Robert Saleh as a DC. Saleh likes to run man-based defense like Dan wants. Yeah, I'm glad that Dan said that we're going to continue to run man, because you've seen this year what happened. Like, the defense totally turned around. Totally. And that was exactly what we expected the minute they brought in DJ Reader, and the minute they brought in Carlton Davis and Amik Robertson and drafted Terrion Arnold. And even though Ennis the Menace didn't get onto the field really, we know what's coming in the next year or two from him. We knew that we were going to have a massive turnaround just from those moves alone. Nothing else was needed. But now we have to take it to the next step. We need to get better linebacker play. Matched up with our linebackers has to be the cornerback play again. And we need a Lee McNeil back. And he's got to be playing, much better than he was this last season. Those 3 things happen. Of course, Aiden will be back. We'll be right back in this thing again this season. What else here? Yeah, so King SJ says, go look at all the options for OC and DC at this point, in-house and outside. I think it's a good point. The one thing that I'm real worried about is we're waiting. We're waiting to interview. I don't understand that. So I'm going to talk about that tonight. I've got one main topic tonight that we're going to talk about. I'm going to do a video with it, and then we're going to have a conversation on it. And then let's talk about OC and DC and what's next, because now, I mean, the only thing that we have left to worry about is what other positional coaches are following Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, and or other options like Hank Fraley to Seattle. So again, I have missed the last couple of hours of news because I haven't had internet. So the left and right shoe is dropped. Hopefully our pants don't drop too. We'll see you guys later tonight. Back here at 7 p.m. or 6:30, somewhere around there. Probably 7 p.m. But I'll see you guys back here tonight. Take care.